Good morning, saints. Let's take our meditation this morning from the book of John, chapter 8, verse 1 to 12. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Now, early in the morning, he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery, in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what do you say?" This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first." And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, "Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life." Wow. This is a story very profound where we see the lifestyle being exposed, the community lifestyle being exposed of self-righteousness against the righteousness of God. Now we see right here a woman has been caught in adultery, and the Pharisees and the scribes, those who uplift self-righteousness, those who follow the law so much, those who uphold the law so much, yet they fail to fulfill the law. Just because this woman has been caught in the act, they have not been caught in the act of so many things. They begin to pick her out and begin to condemn her. Not only that, but they bring this woman in the presence of the Lord. And as they bring the presence of the Lord speaks of grace. And they bring the law before grace and say, according to the law of Moses, the law summons us to condemn this woman. But these very people, they are the very people who are upholding the law, but they cannot perceive grace. And they have brought the woman under the law before grace. And first of all, Jesus Christ demonstrates before these people who uphold the law so much, yet the law brings condemnation to them and to the rest of the community. He begins to say, look here, without a word, he looks down, he bends down and begins to write on the ground. And he says, let he who is without sin be the first to condemn with the first stone thrown to this woman. Before Jesus Christ could rise up, everyone had departed. He said, let you start with the elder one. Let he who is without sin condemn. Let he who is righteous condemn. But this is a picture that each and every one of the scribes and the Pharisees and the crowd right there, they began to look inside, deep inside their hearts. They began to acknowledge without a word that truly we hold the law, but we don't know how to please the law. Truly, we know the law, But we don't hold the standard of the law. We have our own righteousness. If we are to be brought here before grace, truly, the same law will condemn us, will bring us to condemnation. We cannot pay the price that is demanded by the law. So everyone departed from the woman. And when Jesus Christ rose up, he says to the woman, "Who are your accusers?" "I don't see any." And Jesus Christ says, as these people who heard were convicted, Jesus Christ began to speak to the woman. And he says to the woman, "Where are your accusers?" Secondly, he says, "Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus says to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Jesus does not answer her questions. Jesus does not even comment on the questions that she has asked about the woman. Where are your accusers? Has anyone condemned you? He doesn't even respond. And he has left conviction to continue with those who were upholding the law. That they left because of conviction. They know their self-righteousness was not enough to uphold the law. Their self-righteousness was not even enough to come before grace. And now he faces the woman and says, the same way that they could not condemn you, even I, the grace giver, am not condemning you. But Jesus Christ says one important thing. He says, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Here we are, and we are thinking most of the time it is impossible to not sin. But Jesus Christ gives a woman this strong demand, strong statement, and say, "I am not condemning you, but go and sin no more." And he doesn't leave it right there. After giving this woman such a high standard of living, Jesus Christ continued to speak again. And he says to the people, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness." Both the one accused and the accusers were walking in darkness. So no one of them had the right to condemn one another because they were both walking in darkness. So when Jesus Christ brings this last statement before them, he says, "I am the light. If anyone follows me, he shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life." This is a strong statement as well, and it is a revelation that Jesus Christ is bringing before the accuser and the accused. That all of you have been walking in darkness. So there is no how you, the accused, could see the light in the things that you are doing. There is no how you could be convicted to stop the things you are doing up until you face the light of the world. Even the accusers, they could not see that what they were doing was wrong up until they faced the light of the world. They continued to condemn because to them, they were walking in a better darkness than others just because they were not caught. But darkness has no measure. As long as we sin, sin has no measure. Sin is sin. Whether you lie, it's still sin. Whether you murder, it is still the same. So now Jesus Christ is telling them that for as long as you walk in darkness, you will continue to sin. But when you follow me as the light of the world, you begin to see sin as sin. You begin to bring to light the works of darkness, and therefore you avoid them. You begin to be knowledgeable with the things that are not of God, and therefore you will not do the things that are not pleasing before the Lord. So simply what Jesus Christ was bringing and is bringing before us is the fact that when you are walking in darkness, you cannot condemn the one who is in darkness or who is doing things of darkness. Up until we follow Jesus Christ, the light of the world, and up until we uphold grace, we will know how to deal with the things of darkness, and we will know how to deal with the people who are struggling with the work of darkness. So self-righteousness has no value in the presence of God. Self-righteousness has no value, even to condemn others who are also struggling with sin. So what Jesus Christ is simply bringing before you and I is the fact that self-righteousness has no place before the light of the world. So you and I must look deep into our hearts and begin to bring out the reality of the things that are within us, the reality of the sin that we continue to do. And yet we want to appear to be holy. We appear to be righteous. And that is why Jesus Christ could not say a word, but bent down. And when he lifted his face up, he said to the people and said, if there is anyone who is without sin, let him be the first to stone the woman. And you and I know we stand no chance to stoning anyone. We stand no chance to condemning anyone. We stand no chance to look at ourselves as more righteous than the other. We all need the mercy of God and the grace of God. And I pray as we look deep in our hearts, let us be convicted of this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.